And then I'll put the mic. My mic guy's gotta fix that, thank you. All right, just turn it off. Okay, so, does he have any allergies?
No.
So go ahead and just show me how you down him yourself. It's okay.
Go, down.
And you said if you'll do it if he has treats?
Yeah. Down.
Okay, try a couple more.
Down. Really? Down.
Oh, you roll under. Try one more.
Down.
When you taught him down, did you use it with the lure?
Yes. But he usually, like, if we're home and we're like doing like a series of like sit down, other stuff like paw, whatever, he'll do it. He's like in that mindset.
Oh,
like,
sure.
I'm gonna get a treat, I'm gonna do what mom says.
Mm-hmm.
But right now he's not doing
Okay.
it. But yeah, teaching him I did use the lure first.
So what we'll do is we're going to bring Beau over here. And try bringing the tree to his nose and just going straight down. Yep, and feed. I'm going to have you do that 2 more times, okay?
They're putting back into a sit or like?
You say break, we can put him up and sit, however you like, yeah. He's like, I've done enough. All right, so what we'll do is I'll take these from you. Is I'm gonna coach you on how to layer the remote over that.
Okay.
So down is meant to be functional. Sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. We're all meant to be functional, okay? But now they're kind of viewed more as tricks. So what we're gonna do is he's clipped to his prong. We're actually gonna clip him to his flat collar.
Okay.
And then go ahead and circle around to the center of the room here. And then what is your remote currently set at?
63.
63. Okay, let's go down to 20. I'm going to give a test tap here. Tap. Yeah, I see contact. All right, so what you're going to do is go ahead and stand so you're next to Beau. Good. You're going to let your leash go slack. And then with your right foot, and then bring the leash in front of you into the left hand. There you go. And then with your right foot, you're going to step on the leash. You're going to kind of pull up a bit on the left hand just to put enough where you feel tension on the back of Beau. Okay? It's about there. And then go ahead and press step down and tap, tap. Now here you're going to pull up your leash again. And then, so if you feel like it'll slack, you'll pull it up. That's good. Now step down and tap, 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 tap. Try 25. Tap, tap, tap. Yep, tap, tap, tap. Yep, tap, tap. Let's try 30. Tap, 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 tap. 35. Tap, tap, tap. 40. Tap. Wait a moment. Almost. Tap, tap, tap. 45. Tap, tap, tap. 50. right there, and step, and tap. Almost. It's okay, go ahead, turn. And then go to reposition, and tap for the sit. Good, and then put on the leash. Good, and then pull up a little bit. Good, and tap. 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 Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can get the first couple. The first one's always the hardest because he has to figure out what to do using just pressure. Here, buddy. That's why I was trying to see if we could get him warmed up with the food first.
Yeah.
To make it easier for him, so he's kind of already in that mode. And I like to use like the middle of my foot,
Okay.
so I can catch the leash kind of like in the crook. Yep. Yep. Good. Yep. 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 Yeah, boy. Good. Quick. So I'm not gonna care that he pops up.
Okay.
Okay? Oh, come here, buddy. This way. Yeah, boy. I'm gonna do a few more. Come here. Good. Yep. Almost. Yep. Good. Yep. 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 Good boy. Break. Come here. Good. Yep. Good. Good. That was one tap.
Okay, so there's
Right.
like the connection.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do two more. So in the beginning, it's against a dog's instinct to go into a stationary position with the e-collar. Tap. Good. That's why he has to figure out. Right. One more. That's why we're doing that downwards tap, 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 tap. That downwards step on the leash. And we're starting subtly so that we're giving him direction, but we're trying to get him to figure it out as much as possible
Okay.
until eventually I can start leaning away how much I do. Yep. Good boy. Right. There we go. All right. So here, go ahead and in real quick, just get in position, do a light step on the leash with your foot.
Okay.
And then the tap, and he should just down. Yep. Right, okay. And I'm gonna keep your foot on the leash like you have it.
Okay.
Tap. Tap. And leave him like that. Okay. So here, when the dog feels remote, they typically want to move. So that's why we start with the heel, because it allows the dog to move, we'll teach him how it turns on, how it turns off. And then we move to recall, which is more moving, right? So going to place is moving. This one is not moving. This one is going from sitting or standing into a stationary position. So dogs are typically inclined to want to move forward or move away. So we step on the leash fairly high to create a little bit of a crook to give some kind of direction, Because with recall, we were pulling them towards us for correcting a sitting position, we pull up. When we're setting into place, we're pulling into place. There's always some kind of directional leash pressure to tell or show Beau what to do.
Okay.
So here, down is like the hardest command for a dog to learn using pressure. I've had dogs take 15 to 20 minutes for the first one, but once they get the first one, then it's only 5 minutes, then it's 3 minutes, then it's a minute, then it's seconds, right? So all that stuff is normal. So that's why we started on the collar as well, because if you would have started at 63, he would have been all over the place. That's why we went down to 20, 25, 30, 35. We go low, we work our way up to find what's going to be incentivizing enough for him to figure out what to do, but at the same time not be so high that it's making him too edgy. Okay, because then it's going to go against what we want him to do, which is to settle. So once I got the first one down, then pretty much it was, or the second one, it was pretty straightforward. One step on the leash, tap, laying down, because he goes, oh, I've done this before, but he's done it with food.
Yeah.
Okay, so most people think if you train a dog with food and you're going to use e-collar, like let's say you taught him down, he knows down, and he doesn't do it, you would just correct him. But that would more than likely push him out of position, okay? And what we want to do is see the remote push him into position.
Okay.
So that's why we have to reteach it. Anytime I get a dog that's taught by another trainer or an e-collar or anything like that, I always have to reteach the commands, because typically people use punishment-based, which is, oh, if you don't do it, now I'm going to correct you. Whereas here, I always teach everything with the e-collar, right? We shape the heel, we shape the recall, all that stuff with the e-collar as a line of communication. So then, like right now, when he got up, when you praised him, and he's like, oh, is my job done? And you went tap, and you kind of stepped back, and you went tap, and you went, okay, back into position. Because now he's understanding that when he feels this, another option for turning it off is to go into this kind of position here, okay? So now that we've got that down, what I'm gonna have you do is we're gonna repeat this exercise about 4 or 5 times of just coming to a stop, waiting a moment, stepping on the leash and tapping to get them to go into down position. We're not gonna say down. When you come to a stop, I'm gonna have you wait a few seconds before actually stepping on the leash. Because if every time you come to a stop and you down them right away, you're gonna see, and it's probably gonna happen anyways, when you walk with him, when you come to a stop, you're gonna start laying down. Because we're teaching down from a sitting position. So now we're creating a pattern for him. So he's gonna think, okay, every time we walk and stop, I sit and lay down, okay? If we see that, I'll show you how to fix it. But I'll have you do like 4 to 5 of what we just did, and then we're gonna start layering the words down again.
Okay. And when I say break, is my foot still supposed to be on the leash?
No, break it. So you would remove it and then you break it.
Break.
Good. So he recognized the, so what we'll do here then, because he's jumping ahead, is when you go to step on the leash, just give a tap and see if the tap alone will have him lay down. Otherwise, then step on it.
Okay, so don't put my foot all the way down yet?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. But technically, he's not wrong,
Okay.
because doing this is the signal for the down command. He's just doing it extra early, okay? Okay, so here, he's assuming. So on your leash, go ahead and grab it with your right hand. You're gonna lightly pull up, okay? And then relax, good. And let it slack go, good. And then right foot, good. A little bit of pressure, and good. And praise. Yeah, boy. Quick, good. And we're not gonna be too picky about him prematurely getting up right now.
Okay.
Right? And over, good. Good, praise. We'll do that 3 more times. Yep, good. Good. Couple more. Right, yeah, good.
Ready?
All right, break one more.
Right.
Good, embrace. Good. So what he's doing is he's prematurely downing, which I said might happen, right? So he's just jumping ahead because he's wanting to avoid the pressure.
Mhm.
So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start laying in the board down.
Okay.
So you're gonna circle around. I'm gonna have you keep your leash short this time.
Okay.
When you come to a stop, if he tries to lay down, instead of pulling up, I'm actually gonna have you tap
Okay.
to see if it pops him up, okay? Then you're gonna wait a moment, and you're gonna cue down. If he doesn't start to lay down, you're then gonna tap within like a split second or so,
Okay.
and he should just lay down. If not, we let that hand go, and then go to step on it and tap to fulfill the command,
Okay.
okay?
Right. Down.
And then, yep. And then step, yep. Good, brace, yeah, forward. Good, break.
Break.
Yep. Yep. Leg pull up, yep. 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 Go ahead and switch to his prong. The reason why we took the prong off for the down is since he was like unsure,
Mhm.
when they feel pressure with the prong in the back, they tend to freak out more.
Okay.
So now that he's comfortable with it, it shouldn't be a problem. So then lightly up, yep. There you go, and then relax, good. And go ahead and twist so that your prong chain is on the inside of you. To the right, yeah. There you go. You're gonna go ahead and cue down.
Down.
Tap. Tap. Like that, good, right. Good, break, good, 3 more times.
Down.
Good.
Should I have waited longer in a sit, when he was in a sit?
You're okay. I mean, yeah, so each time, in order to try to help prevent the presumptuous down,
Mhm.
you know, when you come to stop, waiting a second, and then another time waiting 5 seconds,
Okay.
and then 2 seconds.
Okay.
But that was fine. Okay. You want?
Down.
Good.
Break. Down.
Great.
Break.
Yeah, one more. Good. Wait a moment.
Down.
Good. So we're gonna pause right there. Good. So here, because he had familiarity already,
Mhm.
it was easier to just layer in pressure.
Okay.
Okay? So when we teach dogs with food, it's great for shaping things, it's great for body mechanics, we do it all the time for puppies under 6 months.
Mhm.
It's great for creating positive association, all that stuff. But then it falls short if like the dog doesn't perform, if there's too much distraction, the dog doesn't care about the reward anymore. So that's when pressure comes in. So I get a lot of dogs that come in here that are already trained on food. And the owners are like, oh, inside the house, dog is great, have treats, dog is great. But then as soon as we go outside, even if we have treats, the dog won't listen. Or if there's a distraction going on in the home, the dog won't listen, right? So that's where these things come into play. So now for Beau, you know, he knew down and like I said, it was selective, and then he did it a few times, and then he's like, you know, he's probably too stressed. And he's like, I don't want the treat, I don't want to do it down anymore, right? Obedience, however, is not something that he can make a decision about. So like growing up, my mom was like, wash the dishes. I don't wanna, that wasn't a question. You're gonna wash the dishes, and if you don't, there's gonna be consequence, right? It's just you do it because I told you. So obedience, it's a similar thing. You know, they do it because we tell them. I have no problem with using food. You know, like here, if he had more trouble with downing, like I get dogs that are just, they're too resistant, or they're too freaked out, that we pair food with this to help them ease them into it. But then once we get it down and the dog's comfortable, we lay off the food, now let's just do it, right? For him, he already knew how to do it, he just chose not to because he was under too much stress. So we layer pressure, and then he's like, okay, this is not a choice. This is something, when I hear down, I just have to do it. Now me, with the down command, I'm not super selective on how the dog downs. So like the way he's laying down right now is uncomfortable. At some point, he would probably kind of go to his side or something so that he can maintain the position for a longer period of time. But because he's under stress or because he's uncomfortable and anxious, the way he's laying down is because he's ready to kind of pop out of it. So this is something that's better. This is something that as you expose him more to it, he'll get more comfortable with. And then he's gonna start opting for a more comfortable position, okay? So I don't care about aesthetic, I don't care about the Sphinx-like down where the dog is very stoic and pretty. I want functional. Okay, so if he lays down and he's on the side and he'll hold it for 2 hours, I don't care. If he rolls on his back with his legs up and he'll hold that for a few hours, I don't care. As long as that body stays in some kind of down position for that period of time that I need him to, he's good to go. There is no exception from this. There is no sitting, there is no standing. It's some type of down. Place command is different, right? Places go here. I don't care if you sit, I don't care if you stand, I don't care if you lay down. Just don't get off of the area, right? So here, same thing for this guy. Place more lenient, down more strict. Down, it's lay down, don't sit, don't stand, don't move. You're in that position. So some dogs might try to army crawl. They can't do that either. It's like technically they're in a down and trying to move. Yeah. You would correct that, okay? So this is also meant for extended use. 15 minutes, 2 hours, you pick and choose. So typically what I tell people is if you're going to be, let's say you go to a restaurant and you want to bring Beau with you, but you're going to be with your friends and you don't want to have to be tied to like, what is he doing to the T, right? Place. Bring a towel, pop it down next to you, place. So you have a very clear visual of like, okay, he can sit, stand, lay down, but I know he's within the area. Make it simple, right? But then like, let's say you're going to go somewhere and you're not going to be as distracted, you know, or if you walk to the park and you decide I'm gonna sit down on this bench and like read for 20 minutes, down, step on the foot and you're reading, you know. So this is, I do this when I feel, I'll recommend this for clients when they have more capacity to pay attention to the dog, because it's more strict. This one they're gonna be more distracted, okay. Now that he knows the down, if you practice more place within the home, what I would suggest is to alternate. Okay, like you could, so it's the same style in the sense of with this we started close, and then so over time you would slowly move it away. Same thing with this command. At this stage, you start like this, right at your feet. So you're gonna watch TV instead of place, set up Beau, down, tap him into the down, step on the leash, give him like a foot or so of slack, and then watch TV. So then if he tries to get up, you're gonna feel it in the crook of his neck. And you're gonna feel the crook of his neck, and that one may self-correct them, but ideally you want to try to get a tap in, at least one tap, so that he associates the vibrate position there's a correction.
Okay.
But also it limits his range of motion, so that because if you take your leash out too early and you try to tap home, he might take the whole length of the leash to kind of move around and avoid the position.
Okay.
So by keeping your foot on it while you sit and just giving him a bit of slack, limits his range of motion, helps him figure it out faster,
Okay.
but then also just makes it easier to correct them. When it comes to the pressure for the down, we were at 50.
Yeah.
50 depth. So at this point, he should respond even to lower levels.
Okay.
So then, if I down Beau at 25, and he keeps getting up every 5 minutes, and I tap him when he gets up, and I tap him when he gets up, then 25 is enough to down him, but it's not enough to keep him down. So that's why we bumped the number. So here at 50, he's been there for like now 5, maybe 8 minutes, holding that position. You've not had to correct him. So at this moment, 50 is a number, is the working level for this particular command in this particular setting. Okay. So those factors also come into play in terms of if he keeps breaking the position, you would just bump it up until you find the number that downs him, but then also keeps him down. So if every time you practice with him, you find yourself going to 50 before he listens, then after a week or so, you can assume like 50 is just his downing number, unless you go somewhere more distracting, and then it might be a little bit higher. Okay. Questions so far with this?
Practicing wise, could I include it when I'm doing like long leash heel apart and just like pull on the pull back on the leash and do it while I'm there? Or should I do it?
Technically, yeah.
Okay.
So what we'll do here is I'll show you how to do it on the short leash,
Okay.
and then you would apply it to your long leash.
Okay.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
We take everything that we learned and we start transitioning it to the long leash, but you wouldn't down him and then just walk 30 feet.
Okay.
You would down him, step out, kind of like what we did with the stay.
Yeah.
Keep it close and then slowly work your way back and then walk around.
Okay.
Okay?
And then when I break him from that, should I be next to him or down, or can I be like further away?
You said when you down him?
Yeah, when he's in down and I'm like further out and I break him, should I be back next to him before I break him? Or?
Yes. So with any stationary command, sit down or place or
Okay.
stay. And you always want to be within that immediate
Okay.
space. 3 to 5 feet is usually pretty good. When you're releasing, when it comes to downing him, it just depends on how well trained you want Beau to be. Okay. So like, let's say you're like, I just want Beau to down, and then we're gonna do stuff at the park, but really I'm just gonna use down when I go to a friend's house or whatever, right? You don't need anything fancy.
Okay.
But I get some clients who go, I want my dog to lay down 20 feet away.
Yeah.
And they go, sure, but you have to practice to that degree.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So here, with down and Beau, like as we'll do a few more, and if it's being consistent, right? If we always down Beau at our right side, that becomes a part of the down. He's gonna think, so if he's here, and you said down, you probably see him walk over here and lay down. Okay? So if that's something you want to prevent, after we do these, we're gonna start downing him at our left side. You can down him while he's standing in front of you. You can down him while he's behind you and you're looking at him like this. You're changing the perspective and you're teaching Beau, hey, when I down you, it doesn't mean this specific side. Okay? It means go in that position, wherever you're at, your location to me doesn't matter. Okay? So we'll do a couple more, and what we're gonna do this time is you're gonna come to a stop and wait a moment. You're gonna down him, and you keep your leash short, and when you go to step out, okay, if Beau tries to follow you, you would stop. Use your leash to stop him, and then you're not gonna pull up a lot, you're gonna try to go up and back, because you're trying to keep him from coming to you, and then tap, and you should feel Beau go to lay down.
Okay.
And then you're gonna step out like this, and then back to his side. Okay, so what we're trying to teach him is, hey, when I down you, I might move, and you have to stay put, and then we would build that to being able to walk around him, and then you would build it to the long leash and go in the distance.
Okay.
Okay? Great.
Yeah.
Good. And then you're gonna step out right leg, yep.
Oh, right leg?
Left leg.
Left leg.
Yeah, so you're backwards. You're backwards what I'm used to. Good. Then back to the side after you. Good. We're gonna try that 2 more times.
Break. Down.
there, relax. Okay, now step up, back, and away from you. Wait a moment, step. 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 Wait a moment, step. I'll show you. I'll show you. So the jump he did, that's frustration.
Okay.
Okay. Break. Perfect. All right. Down. Okay. So this is good. So I didn't tap there because he beat the punch.
Okay.
So when I step out, I'm gonna do this, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna pull on him to cause him to screw up on purpose,
Okay.
right? Tap. Like this.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're doing with the prong, so with the stay, we would go up because it's super easy to put him in the sitting position.
Yeah.
And here you're just trying to create a barrier.
Okay.
So when he tries to come forward, he feels the prong. So the prong is actually what kicks in and tells him you can't come this way.
Okay.
So he'll back up, and then I only tapped once for the correction, and he kind of thought about it, he felt the prong, and then he just dipped into the down position.
Okay.
I'll try one more time. Break. Boy. Tap. Good. Down. Good. Tap. 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 So that's attachment stuff. Down. Because he wants to go to you. Okay. So I tap until he backs off. Reposition. I step out. Okay. Tip. 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 So as soon as he stops, I give slack back and keeping it taut here so that I'm able to stop him sooner. Otherwise, he would have already made it back to you, right? Because he was able to move at least 2 squares here. So right now, because of attachment stuff, that was not just down, that was down and you can't get to mom.
Okay.
With you, it's easier because it's you handling the leash. Here, when I take him, it's like taking him away from mom. So he gets really worked up, right? So he's mama's boy. There you go, try that again.
Down.
Good.
Down.
Good, one more.
Break. Down.
That's fine. And it just turns the ear dip. Good move. Tap. Wait a moment. A little bit shorter. Yep, tap. And then I'll pull him away from you. And take a step back. So here, see how he's able to come all the way to your side?
Yeah.
You're wanting to keep him here.
Okay.
Okay? So you had to be short, but you have to go short enough that when he tries to move forward, he actually can't. It'll stop him more where he's at.
Okay.
Okay? So if you, like at home, if you use like a frame of reference, like you could do down like on a rug or something. And then you're trying to keep him within that threshold.
Okay.
Okay? So then having it shorter, so, because if he comes to you like this, what's gonna happen is when you down him and you have to leave, 30 minutes go by, when you tap him and he tries to get up and you tap him in response, he should just go right back into the position. But if he's used to this, you're gonna tap him, he's gonna walk over, and he's gonna down right here, okay? Because he's thinking that's what he's supposed to do.
Okay.
Okay? Break.
Break. Down.
Good. Good. And That's good right there. And then move around, good. Try a couple more.
Right. Down. Right.
Good, one more.
Down.
Good. Good. And back to the side. Very good. So on this next one,
Mm-hmm.
same deal, but this time you're gonna do, you just start the half moon.
Okay.
If he does good from the half moon, just you can walk right into the full moon,
Okay.
or the full circle.
Okay, and then should I still try and keep it?
Keep it short, yep,
Okay.
in the beginning, until once we see, let's say you do like 20 of them or whatever,
Mhm.
and you're like, yeah, he hasn't moved, then you start working your way out,
Okay.
and give him slack.
Okay, great. Down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then go into a full circle. Good. And then back to the side. Great.
Great.
Great. Great. Bit of a pull.
Great.
Okay, we'll try two more.
Down. Great. Down.
Good. Good, one more. Mhm. Try just turning to face him and then down him like that.
Down.
Good. Just to change up like the pattern.
Okay.
Okay. And then you
Step
step
back.
back. Yep.
Great.
Excellent. So what we'll do here is you'll down him, you'll step out, you'll do a full circle, you'll come in and praise him, and then step out again.
Okay.
But the down is in effect, you don't need to say anything, he should just hold a position, okay?
Down.
Good. That was a good one. See, it's getting more relaxed now.
Yeah.
Good. Good. So that was good. Only thing was when you stepped out the second time, you did a baby right step and then you went out left leg.
Okay.
So like, let's say you came to his right side.
Mhm.
If you stepped out, you would lead with your right leg.
Gotcha.
So you're always lead. So now, if you're getting more technical,
Mhm.
if you return to him and step away from him, you lead with the leg away from him. Okay, so if he's to your right, you lead with your left. Should he be to your left, you lead with your right.
Okay.
Okay? We'll try that one more time. Great.
Great.
Very good. Excellent. So here, working this to the long leash. So now, when it's putting things in different places. So like we would, like, I try to avoid like recall, heel, stay, recall, heel, stay, because that's just a pattern. We start to change it up. Sometimes it's recall and stay into heel, recall and heel into stay, recall and stay into break, recall and heel into break, like these different patterns. So he doesn't get too tied up on something. And helping him and helping you also to like see his concept of each command. So then if you bring in the down, so now you would have another option. You can do recall into a down, step away. You start close on the long leash like you did. And then if you feel like that's good, give a little bit of slack, move around, and then you slowly move your way out. We tend to assume like, oh, he did so great with this, let's just jump to the long leash and go 30 feet. You always, I like to say, if you make one thing harder, make one thing easier. So you're making it harder by going to the long leash. You're making it easier by working your way out close and then going out further. Okay? You might find when you hit 10 feet, maybe he keeps prematurely breaking to you for whatever reason. In order to correct that, I think we did this with the stay, where you would walk towards where he was originally, just slowly tapping. You don't say heel, you just walk over. He's most likely going to default into a heel. Come back to the general area, tap, if he doesn't already go into position. So if he breaks it down and you lead him back as you're tapping, you may find as soon as you get to the spot, he just lays down, and then you wouldn't tap there. You would just step away. We wouldn't say anything. We wouldn't say stay. We wouldn't say down. We're correcting the previous down. I walk 10 feet away. He tries to follow. Tap, tap. Walk back to the spot. Ideally, if he's starting to get up and you tap him, he should just lay down. If he goes to follow you or breaks position, you just start tapping and lead to general area. If he doesn't automatically down, tap, tap until he goes into position, then step away. And you might find in the beginning, he'll try to follow. If it seems like it's not getting better, then we kick in with using more leash pressure, because he's being given too much leeway, and it's too confusing. He's thinking that this tap is needing to come to you. Okay, so the prong would come in. I feel like we did that too with the stay stuff, where the prong helped him figure out like, oh, I'm supposed to stay put, right? Same concept. Okay. Then you come back to him. You can then put him into a heel, or you can tell him to put him into a break. But with the down command, we don't have to say stay. It's implied. Okay, so earlier when he got up a couple times and you tapped him back into position, that's how you imply the stay. Just like a place. He tries to sneak off, you tap him, you don't say anything, he goes back and thinks, okay, I can't get off of here. This exercise that we're doing here is really just meant to get him to go into a down position easily and quickly. It's not something that we really practice a whole lot back to back, because it does stress dogs out. Because it's just like with the recall, we kept repeating it, and he's like, I know you're going to do it, right? So this exercise, 3 to 5 minutes a day, once or twice a day. Feel free to use food after you walk around and come back, piece of turkey or bologna, cheese, hot dog, just to help incentivize him. Like, okay, cool, this is balancing out. Once he gets it, you're like down, boom, down, boom, down, boom, and he's quick. We just go to application or practicing out in the fields that you do, because when you practice it that way, it's not one set thing. It's a number of things. So it's not so redundant. When you start to package your commands together, you're going to start to see his weaknesses. Okay, so like let's say you practice the down, and then you go to the park and you practice everything he knows, and you're like, man, his down is really slow, and then you might find, oh, his recall is really slow. If you try to work on making down faster and making recall faster at the same time, while you practice heel and stay, it's too much. Okay, what you'll do is you'll go, okay, I need to work on that recall. You would isolate it. So then you might go on a walk one day where he's on free time and all you're doing is recalls. okay? With the intention of, we're gonna make this faster. Same thing with the downs. Okay, his downs are really sloppy, but everything else is good. You can still practice everything else, but you would take out the down, practice it by itself, get it to be as good as you want it to be, then you put it back with everything else.
Okay.
So dogs are kind of topic-based. So earlier when I was downing him, I said, I'm not worried if he maintains the position. I just want to teach him how to give him the pressure first. Once he gets into it and it's easy for him, then I can focus on keeping him down. Because if he gets up and I correct him, he's going to do it much more easily.
Yeah.
But if I do it in the beginning, when he's still really freaked out and stressed, it's just going to be a big commotion, okay? So if you ever see anything get sloppy and you're practicing it in a group of things, I would stop, pull it out, work on it by itself in a different session, or maybe just change topics and go, I'm going to work on this now. But you wouldn't continue to work on everything all at once, because he won't get better, okay? Whenever we teach new things, we always make new problems. So the problem that we create is the auto down.
Yeah.
So now when you heel with him, and you come to a stop, you might see Beau just automatically lay down. If that happens, you're just going to have it be short. You're going to tap first. If no response, keep tapping, and then pull up, okay? If you pull up to correct him, he will become dependent on you pulling up to correct him. So we always kick in with the pressure first, to see if he'll pop up on his own, and eventually, once he gets it, you'll see him, you'll tap him, and he'll pop up, and then eventually he'll stop downing, and he'll think, okay, heel, we walk, I stop, I sit, I don't lay down, or else correction happens. I only down when mom says it. I don't recommend practicing down in the heel, just because it'll cause confusion. So earlier when you were tapping him and he wasn't responding, and he was like kind of hunkering down more, it's because we just taught him, when you feel this, lay down.
Yeah.
So when he feels it, he's like, well, how much more down do I gotta go? So now we get confusion. So then if you try to practice the downs in the heel while you're doing your heel walks, it's gonna make that more confusing for him. So when you do your heel walks, you can do the heel, the opposites, obviously, the stays and stuff, but refrain from doing downs.
Okay.
Now, if you go out to a field and you're doing your training sessions, that's a little bit different. Okay, because if you're applying it on an actual walk, he's going to think on an actual walk it's going to be applied. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When realistically it wouldn't. It would be like, okay, we go to the park, I forgot my placemat down. Okay? Other questions?
When we're practicing at the park and instead of break, sometimes I'll just like go to his side and take him out with like a heel. Can I do that with down?
Yep, you can do that as well with down.
Okay.
It's really just the context of what you're practicing in.
Okay.
Because when you apply, like let's say you're on a heel walk, okay? When you're applying anything during that walk, dogs tend to assume this is a part of the heel.
Okay.
So like, let's say I'm walking with Beau, a really common thing that people do is when they walk their dog, when they come to the grass, they tend to, as they're walking, release the dog. And I always stop, wait for the auto sit, wait a little bit for a period of time, break, and then let them go. So it's a very clear, defining line of now you can go. But then if we're practicing, heel, break, he's thinking, I'm gonna get released when we're in movement and when we're in motion. So then when he passes by anything like grass that he's peed on before, he's gonna be presumptuous and he's just gonna go. Okay? So by always coming to a stop and getting the auto sit, waiting for a moment, break, and then letting the dog go, he's not getting caught up on that. Okay, so same thing with the down. If I'm in a heel and I come to a stop and I down him, he's going to start thinking down will be applied during these walks and start being presumptuous and then downing. So like when I get my clients to do more advanced stuff, we have what we call downs in motion. So like if the dog is running and I say down, technically they should down. And we start teaching that with teaching down in the heel. So you'll be walking, right? And you say down, and the dog down, so you keep walking. But then that creates a problem. And the problem is, you'll be walking with your dog, and then randomly they just down by themselves, and then you get caught like this, right? But that's because that person wants to teach that particular skill, so we have to build it. But, so we have to teach something new, then we create problems, and then we have to fix problems. In your case, it's the simple, applicable, functional obedience, not like super fancy stuff like that. Okay? Other questions?
I don't think so.
So now that you've taught the down, you can layer stay over the down position.
Okay.
So like with before, because like if we didn't teach the down and you tried to correct him for it, like if like he was laying there and said stay, and then he got up and he tried to correct them, he wouldn't go to that.
Okay.
He would be freaking out like we saw earlier.
Mhm.
So that's why we have to teach it first. And then once the dog's learned the command,
Mhm.
now you can apply stay over the down position.
Okay.
So if you're at home and Beau is laying down on the floor on his own time,
Mhm.
and he can get up whenever he wants, now you can say stay,
Okay.
and then becomes a down command.
Okay.
Because he knows how, if you correct him, he knows how to correct the problem.
Okay.
Okay? The last thing we'll go over here is just the sit. It's super simple.
Okay.
Go ahead and position yourself next to Beau, doesn't matter which side. That's okay, because he was on the down by himself. Go ahead and bring the leash to the inside, and you're going to just cue the down.
Down.
Good. Turn away in a moment. And then you're going to cue sit. You're going to start tapping first.
Okay.
And if he doesn't respond by that second or third tap, you're going to keep tapping and then pull up. Okay?
Sit.
Okay. Yep, now tap and pull. Good, wait a moment. Wait a moment. He's thinking about it. Thinking about it. Now down.
Down.
Good. And if he downs quickly and beats the punch, same thing with the sit, you don't tap.
Okay.
Okay, so the only command that you're tapping every single time is still the recall.
Okay.
Because remember, you're trying to create the confusion
Yeah.
where he's gonna run off, so you can proof it. With these commands, heel, sit, down, place, and stay, we don't do that.
Okay.
With this, as soon as he starts to go into the behavior, we lay off the pressure or we don't do it, so he learns he can beat the punch.
Okay.
Go to cue sit.
Sit.
Yep. 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 Then relax. Good, wait a moment. So what we're doing here is what's called like puppy push-ups. Sitting down back to back. And you're just layering pressure over the sit command like we did with the down command.
Okay.
This command is to help for clarification. So like if, when dogs are prematurely sitting or downing, whatever, we do this. So like right now, if you said sit and we're talking and he tries to lay down, you'll tap to correct him.
Yeah.
You're clarifying for him. You don't down unless I tell you to. Same thing if you were to down him, if you were to assume the sit, you would correct him to go back into a down position, and then you're telling him you wait for these cues specifically
Okay.
before you assume them, okay, or you do them. So this exercise of sit to down back to back, again, 3 to 5 minutes, super short.
Okay.
Feel free to use food with this one,
Okay.
because this is redundant, back to back, right? Because that's why dogs, so earlier when you were trying to pop them into a sit and they kept laying down, you might see that happen here. So what you're teaching them is, hey buddy, if I said down, good, but if I say sit, you have to go up now, okay? Don't keep trying to scoot into the down.
Yeah.
So you're just clarifying for him, you respond to these words, otherwise you'll create more pressure,
Okay.
okay? If it comes to the point where like Beau is like really laying down, you'll keep your upwards tension on the prong continuous, you won't let it go, and then as you're tapping on the collar, just slowly go up.
Okay.
And at some point, you hit 65, he'll pop up, because he's assuming how much more down we have to go, and you're going into correction mode, so then you need power to incentivize him to figure out like, hey buddy, what you're doing isn't working.
Okay.
You have to do the other thing, okay? So now you have the 6 commands: heel, stay, sit, down, place, and come. Same thing with the sit. If you're gonna practice this with the long leash, you would start short. It's like the same exact thing with stay that we taught,
Okay.
except when we use stay, it was the stay command because he was already in an automatic sit from the heel. This is different. This is put your butt down and don't move. So if you said heel and then he forgot to sit and you said sit, he's no longer in the heel.
Okay,
He's in
that's
sit.
my next question.
Mhm.
Okay.
Your new command overrides your old command, okay? So if you tell him to stop and he doesn't sit, you would tap, okay? That creates the auto sit. So if you heel, he's still in heel command,
Okay.
because you're correcting because heel is walk with me, stay with me, sit
Yeah.
when I stop. But if you say sit, now it's sit and don't move. So then if you start walking, technically he shouldn't walk.
Okay, so you
Okay.
should either heel or break.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so once you understand the nuances, it makes sense, but in the beginning, it's a little confusing.
Okay.
But your new command overrides your old command, even if it's the same command, right? So if you said place and you got off and you said place again, you're restarting the command. You're not teaching him to tap it off in the first place.
Okay.
So what I would do is, when you practice the long leash stuff, maybe start with the downs first,
Okay.
and then get a feel for that. And then like what you could do now is if that gets solid, you can do a down, you step away, you can come back, sit, pop them up, step away, come back, break, heel, right, down again. Now you have more options to practice, to start building control to a distance level.
Okay.
Okay? Good job. Great.